Hi, so next subtopic is determination of bearing capacity using the field test. The first one being the plate load test. In the last class, I had just started or introduced you all with the topic, and I'd asked you all to go through the videos that were actually uploaded last semester. So in this class, I would want to go ahead in depth with this particular topic, and we will end this class with a numerical wherein we will understand how to we determine the maximum load carrying capacity, okay, uh, using the results of plate load test. Okay. Now the IS which is dedicated for this particular test is 18862, if I'm not mistaken, yes. And what is this particular test most suitable for? That is the primary most important thing that we need to know, that you can use the results of plate load test only when the soils are more or less uniform and preferably cohesionless soils. Okay, it's not that you cannot use it for C5 soils, but results that you obtain from plate load test are more reliable for sands, and that too when they are uniform. Okay, if you have layers and there are some hidden soft soil layers which are anticipated at the lower depths or the greater depths, then this particular test results cannot be considered highly reliable. Okay. Now, this test will be conducted for if you are planning to have, let's say, from the primary data that you do your field explorations, you think that the soil is all right and you can lay the foundation say around at 1 meter depth, then you should conduct plate load test at that depth. Okay, whatever is the estimated depth of foundation, more or less around that. Okay, then a rigid plate will be used, a steel plate somewhere around 6 mm to 8 mm thickness, okay, minimum, and this will be loaded very slowly. You will be increasing the load. There will be incremental load. You do not apply all the load at the same time. Okay, now ultimate bearing capacity QF is taken. That load, ultimate bearing load, that rather, it's not capacity, it's still ultimate load will be taken when the settlements are very fast. Okay, so initially the settlements will be very slow. At one point of time, the rate of settlement will increase very rapidly. That point you note down as ultimate load. Okay, minimum size that is permissible for a plate load test is 30 centimeter by 30 centimeter, and maximum size will be 75 by 75 centimeter. Okay, size of the pit where you are supposed to conduct the test should be at least 5 times the dimension of the plate. So if you are using a 30 by 30, at least 1.5 by 1.5 meter should be the dimensions of the pit that you are excavating. Start conducting the test, you will not keep the plate right on the surface of the soil. You will try to have a small pit excavated. So let's say this, is the level at which you are going to lay your foundation. Then what you will do is you will try to have a small hole dug. Okay, and here you will lay your plate that you're going to. You won't lay it directly at the soil level. Now that depth of the hole will be estimated by this particular equation, df into b by capital B. Df will be the depth of foundation. Small b is the width of the base plate. Always throughout, right from now, we will consider that small b is the width of the base plate and small b is the width of the foundation, right? That we are going to use in our calculations. Now, loading will be carried out by gravity loading method or reaction truss method. I wouldn't want to go into depth because this is explained in the videos which I have already uploaded on the site. Will be loaded at least, two dial gauges are required. So if this is your plate now, okay, you will have a dial gauge on the diagonal like this. So minimum two, So up to 4 dial gauges can be used with a least count of 0.02. Sensitive dial gauge, and initially a seating load will be applied of 7 kilonewton per meter square. Necessary that the loading is carried out gradually. With the old method wherein we used to keep the sandbags on the channel sections or I sections, that gradual increment was not possible. But with this reaction of truss method, the increment is possible now with the recent machinery, really gradually. Okay. Now, how much should be the increment? Increment should be 1/5 of the roughly expected SPC or 1/10 of the ultimate bearing capacity. Okay, 1/5 of safe and 1/5 of ultimate. But it in no case it can go beyond 100 kilonewtons. That is around 10 tons. You cannot have increments of more than 10 tons.
Now moisture content will affect bearing capacity, right? Just like any other geotechnical property. Now that's the reason you need to identify where is water table, and if it is very high, okay, let's say water table is very close to your ground level and your founding level is little below, then you have to see to it that the water table is brought to the level of foundation. Okay, and the test has to be performed, so you have to pump it out, you have to drain it out, okay, or whatever, and it has to be brought down to the level of foundation. It has to be just below the level of foundation, and then you are supposed to carry out the plate load test. Okay, now this pumping and all is possible again in typical types of soil. That's the reason right in the beginning I told you the soil has to be more or less coarse grained soil. You cannot have this kind of test conducted on pure clays. Okay, it will not be very reliable. More so because clays will also settle down very late. We all know the type of consolidation that sands undergo is immediate. Whereas in case of clays, it is secondary consolidation, secondary settlements, right? So that's the reason, since this test is very rapid and based on settlements, the data cannot be directly related to the clays. So now even if your water table is very, let's say around 1 meter, 1.5 meter, it is most advisable to bring it down to the foundation level and carry out the test. The equation that we use for sands is on the screen. SP, what will be SP? SP will be the settlements of the plate. SF will be the settlement of foundation. Small b is the width of the plate and capital B is the width of the foundation. So from this we have a relation between the settlement of the foundation and the settlement of the plate for sands. Clays, the relation changes. SF will be given as SP is equal to capital B by B. And for C5 soils, that is a relation given in 1961 by Bond, that is SF. This F is in suffix, okay. SF upon SP is equal to capital B upon B raised to n plus 1. Now what is this n? N is a coefficient that depends on the type of soil. So for clay soil, this n value will go between 0.03 to 0.05. For sandy clay, it will be 0.08 to 0.1. For loose sands, it will be 0.2 to 0.25. For medium dense sand, it will be 0.25 to 0.35. And for dense sand, it will be 0.4 to 0.5. Let's go to this subtopic about limitations of plate load test. Now the primary limitation is it cannot identify if there is a weaker soil below. So if there is weaker soil anywhere in between 1.5 times B, what is B? Diameter width of the base plate. So 1.5 times B to 1.5 times capital B, that is width of the foundation. So in that range, if there is any kind of soil, weak soil, then it has been found out that the plate or the settlement graph will not be able to record this. Okay, that's the reason this particular test is suitable for a uniform soil. For layered soil, we do not recommend this particular test. Also, second limitation is that the settlement in case of sand increases with the size of the loaded area, right? So unless there is a proper relationship between the load increment and corresponding increments in settlement, it is very difficult to determine how much your footing is going to settle. That is, how much will be the value of SF will be very difficult to find out just by relying on the data that you have obtained from settlement of the plate. The next limitation is based on the soil type. So it is normally seen that when you load clays, okay, whether your base plate is 30 centimeter or whether your base plate is 75 centimeter, okay, or whether the size of the foundation while estimating is larger or smaller, usually there is not much of the change in the value of SVC for clays. However, for sands, especially the dense sand, bearing capacity will immediately increase with the size of footing. Okay, so the moment the size of the bearing plate also increases, so all these things will get affected. Okay, the type of soil is the major limitation. Then the next limitation is, actually I have already spoken about it, because it's a quick test. You cannot relate this data for clays because clays will have secondary settlements, and even if the actual test is showing a particular amount of settlement, you cannot take that settlement while calculating the capacity, because in reality the soil will settle much more and much later. So your results will be unsafe. Whereas in case of sands, it may be conservative. Exactly ulta. Okay. Now let's solve a numerical. This numerical I have taken from SK Garg. Okay. What is given here are the data of plate load test. Okay, and for two different plates. So in the first case, you have taken a plate, circular plate of 750 mm dia, and the second case you have taken a circular plate of 300 mm dia. For the first plate, settlement was 15 mm for a load of 150 mm. And for the second case again, the settlement was 15 mm for load of 50 kN. Okay. Determine the load on circular footing 1.2 meter in dia that will cause settlement of 15 mm. Now one thing you have to understand that we are going to relate all these data. We are going to have equations for all these data for the main reason that all these data are obtained for the same amount of settlement. Okay? If the settlement changes, then it's very difficult to obtain a correlation, right? But over here, what has happened in the first plate also, the load is calculated for the same settlement. Second plate also, the load is calculated for the same settlement, and you are asked to find out how to relate this particular data to a footing of 1.2 meter diameter for the same settlement. Is that understood? So now we have learned in the last video this equation, Q is equal to A into Q plus P into S. Now what is A? A is the contact area of plate. Okay, contact area of plate with the soil or footing plate. Okay, what is Q? Small q is the bearing pressure beneath the area A. Okay, again this is a constant. Q is a constant. Okay, it's a bearing pressure beneath the area A. What is capital P? It's the perimeter of the footing plate. So if it's a circular plate, then 2 pi r. If it's a square plate, then 2 into A. If it's a rectangular plate, then A plus B. So that's a perimeter. Right? And what is small s? Small s is called perimeter shear. Again, it's a constant for a soil. So now, we are not given the value of Q, we are not given the value of S. We know the area of the footing plate, we know the perimeter of the footing plate, and we know the load. So now what happens? You have two cases. You know the value of Q, 150. You know the value of area, you can calculate from this diameter. You can calculate the value of perimeter. So in this equation what happens? Q and S is unknown. But you have two such sets. So you can write these equations individually for each of these cases and get the value of Q and S. Once you know the value of Q and S, then all you need to do is find out for this particular case what is asked in your problem. For the first case, load is 150, area will be, diameter is given, no, 750 mm is the diameter, so I convert it into meters, 0.75. So pi d squared by 4 is the area into Q, constant, into pi into d is the perimeter, circumference, into S. This S is not visible, so you all please write it down, though it's not visible over here. It's got cut. So just write here. So into S. Okay. So when I simplify this, I get 150 is equal to 0.44 into Q plus 2.36 into S. Likewise, I do it for the second C. So Q2 is given to you, as I think 50. How did I write it as 300 over here? It's 50. Okay, so this is 50. 300 is the diameter. So this is 50 kilonewton is equal to pi by 4, 0.3 squared into Q plus 0.3 into pi is the perimeter into S. So you get the second equation. So you have this equation. Okay, you have equation 1, you have equation 2. So you solve 1 and 2 simultaneously. You get the value of S and Q. So now you got the value of S and Q. You have to calculate for 1.2 meter dia footing, which will have the same amount of settlement, 15 mm settlement. You have to calculate the load that will come on the load that this footing will be able to carry. Okay, or in other words, for 15 mm of the settlement, this 1.2 meter diameter footing should be subjected to what load? Let's put it this way. So for a footing of 1.2 meter diameter, if it has to settle by 15 mm, how much should be the load that should be applied on the footing? So we already have the equation. What is the equation? Q is equal to AQ plus PS. So you have Q value. Area will be, now diameter is 1.2. It's a circular footing. So 1.2 into pi by 4, 1.2 whole square. So pi d squared by 4 is the area of this footing, into the value of Q that we just determined as 92.8 plus the perimeter of this footing, pi d, into the value of S. You got the load that the footing has to be subjected to. So hence the load of 279.4 kilonewton is likely to cause the settlement of 15 mm for a circular footing of diameter of 1.2 meters. This is your final statement.